Your body is trying to give you something for free. Every single day, without you asking, it pushes hair out through the skin of your face, a warm, protective, effortless covering that costs you nothing and grows entirely on its own. And every single day, hundreds of millions of men grab a blade, drag it across their own throat and cheeks, and scrape that free gift straight into the sink. Stop and really look at that, because it's genuinely insane. Nature hands us a thing, and our response, for thousands of years, has been to spend time, money, and blood violently removing it, only for it to grow back by tomorrow so we can do the whole ridiculous thing again. No other animal does this. Only humans wage a daily war against their own faces. So the real question isn't how we shave, it's why. Why would a species fight this hard, for this long, to erase something its own biology keeps insisting on? And the answer has almost nothing to do with looking neat. Let's start by admitting there were a few genuinely practical reasons, because there were. The oldest was the war against parasites. A thick beard is a warm, sheltered forest, and to a louse it's prime real estate. Scrape it off, and you evict the tenants. This was so obvious to the ancients that a Roman writer once sneered at a bearded philosopher that his beard had grown him no wisdom, only lice, and he should shave it off. There were other everyday reasons too. A long beard is a handle in a fight, something for an enemy to seize. It catches food and grime and gets in the way of close work. So yes, for some men, a bare face really was cleaner and safer. But here's why that can't be the real answer. Shaving, for almost all of history, was appallingly difficult and dangerous, and people did it anyway, obsessively, which tells you something stranger was going on. Because we've been scraping our faces bare for a shockingly long time. Long before steel, long before metal of any kind. Some of the oldest cave art on Earth, made tens of thousands of years ago, shows men with smooth, beardless faces, hinting that hair removal was already a Stone Age habit. And we know roughly how, because they used the sharpest thing on Earth at the time. Freshly struck flint, or obsidian, that black volcanic glass, can hold an edge finer than a surgical blade, and a shaped flake of it will slice hair from skin. So picture it. Dawn, 40,000 years ago. A man crouches over a still pool just catching the gray light. In his hand is a sliver of obsidian he chipped himself, its edge keener than any steel you own. He leans over his wobbling reflection and drags that black glass across his cheek. No soap, no mirror, no second blade if this one shatters. One slip opens his own throat, and he did it on purpose, and came back the next morning to do it again. And flakes weren't the only weapon. Some ancestors plucked their beards out entirely, hair by hair, gripping each one between two pressed-together seashells like tweezers. Sharpened shells, even shark teeth, anything that could grab or cut. Sit with that determination, plucking out a whole beard with clamshells, tens of thousands of years before the razor. Nobody suffers that much to be tidy. That kind of effort is never about hygiene. It's about meaning, which forces the real question. If a bare face was worth all that pain, what message was it worth sending? And to understand the message, you first have to understand why men grow beards at all. Here's a puzzle most people never stop to consider. A beard doesn't keep you meaningfully warmer. It doesn't help you hunt. It doesn't help you find food. Women are the same species and don't grow one, and get along perfectly well. So why did evolution bother? The leading answer is that the beard was never a tool. It was a signal. It makes a face look bigger, older, more dominant, unmistakably male, and it erupts at puberty, the moment a boy becomes a man. The beard is a flag your own body raises, a badge announcing maturity and status to everyone who sees you, before you say a word. And the instant you understand a beard is a message, the whole baffling history of shaving snaps into focus. If growing one broadcasts something loud, removing it broadcasts something too. You cannot rip a signal that powerful off your face and have it mean nothing. The absence becomes its own statement. So humans took that flag and buried it under layers of meaning. In many cultures, a great flowing beard became the very picture of wisdom, authority, and power. Think how we still instinctively imagine kings, prophets, wizards, and gods, almost always with magnificent beards. That's not random. The ancient Greeks adored theirs. A fine beard meant honor, manhood, wisdom, and their mightiest gods wore full ones. To a Greek, it was so central to his identity that he'd cut it only in grief, and having it shorn by force was a devastating humiliation. There it is again, that dark edge, a marker of pride turned into a weapon. Across history, forcibly shaving a man became a way to shame him, brand him a coward, mark him a prisoner. Controlling his beard meant controlling him. But now the story does something genuinely wild, because if the beard was such glorious proof of manhood, you'd expect every great civilization to treasure it, and some of the most advanced ones did the exact opposite. They shaved, and in doing so they flipped the entire meaning upside down. The ancient Egyptians are the jaw-dropping example. For their elite, the ideal was not a proud beard but a smooth, hairless face, often a hairless head too. To them, hairlessness was cleanliness, refinement, civilization itself. The hairy were the lowly and the crude. The important were polished smooth, using copper razors and even early hair removal pastes. But here's the part that's almost too perfect. Even shaved bare, the beard was still such a potent emblem of power and divinity that they refused to let it go. So they wore fake ones. Pharaohs strapped long, narrow, artificial ceremonial beards onto their smooth chins, a sacred badge of authority and their bond with the gods. And here's the detail I love most. Even Egypt's female rulers wore those false beards, because by then, the beard had detached completely from actual hair and become pure costume. A flag you could clip on and take off. So look at what we've got. In one world, the natural beard is glory and shaving is shameful. In another, the bare face is refinement and the beard is a detachable prop. The same patch of hair, meaning opposite things at the same moment in history. And it never stopped flipping. Alexander the Great, by legend, ordered his soldiers to shave before battle, reportedly because a beard was something for an enemy to grab. And nothing, one ancient writer said, is easier to seize in a fight. His clean-shaven image swept the world into fashion. The Romans embraced the bare face so fully that a young man's first shave became a sacred rite of passage into manhood, the exact opposite of the Greek belief that manhood meant growing the beard out. And centuries later, the pendulum swung back, and emperors grew their beards proudly again. And that swing has never stopped, right down to today. There's a reason it behaves like a pendulum. The moment a beard or a bare face becomes the firm badge of the older generation, the young have an instant way to rebel. They do the opposite. Elders clean-shaven, so the sons grow beards. Elders bearded, so the sons scrape bare. The face becomes a battlefield between generations, and the meaning can never sit still. Now let me be honest with you, the way this channel always tries to be. The deep origins here are genuinely blurry, and it would be dishonest to pretend otherwise. We can't name the first man who ever scraped his face, because hair doesn't fossilize and stone tools don't come labeled. We're reading clues. Beardless faces in ancient art, suspiciously sharp flakes, recorded custom, and reasoning backward. There was never one reason men shaved. There were dozens, shifting endlessly, sometimes contradicting each other in neighboring lands. But underneath all that chaos, one truth holds rock solid. Whether a man grew his beard or scraped it off, he was always saying something. The face became humanity's most public billboard, and facial hair was the message written across it. Manhood or boyhood, power or humility, tradition or rebellion, grief or celebration, my tribe or yours. The presence or absence of a beard was never once neutral. And we are still doing it, right now, exactly the same way. Every morning a man who can grow a beard makes a choice, to shave or not, to shape it sharp or let it run wild, and that choice is read instantly by everyone he meets. The blade went from obsidian to steel, to 5 vibrating cartridges and a subscription. But the ancient habit underneath, writing who we are onto our own faces, hasn't changed at all. So here's my last question for you. The next time you stand at the mirror deciding whether to shave, ask yourself, are you actually choosing that message? Or is your face speaking a language so old and so automatic that everyone around you has been reading it your whole life and you never once noticed? Let me know in the comments. I genuinely want to hear it. Until then, take care of yourselves, and I'll see you soon.